some folks might look at it outside. It's inconceivable that I could fall on my butt 3 times walking to and from my truck.
Thrice times.
Thrice.
On the rump.
Our producer, Cam Parker, to the rescue again, giving me a couple ibuprofen for the sore right elbow. Nothing structurally wrong. It's all right.
So
just sore.
You can be like Brock Purdy and need a recovery from a UCL
I don't think so.
injury.
I think I could throw more than a screen pass. Now, it would be way off target, but I could probably do it if I had to do it. Here's a couple of things that are kind of troubling.
I'll say you can call the UT baseball office. They can put you up, get you hooked up with somebody that knows something about a good Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
I stumbled through that.
We've had another issue with the Dallas Zoo.
Another one?
Another one.
Was it the leopard got out last time?
The leopard got out, and then remember someone killed a vulture. They had that. Someone's been getting into the zoo and like cutting open like the enclosures, like from the back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the leopard got out. They got that back. Somebody got in and for whatever reason decided to kill a vulture, which is just wrong and sad.
Terrible.
We've had this discussion before, Jeff, and we haven't asked Cam and we'll do this, but the animal that unnerves you the most.
The snake?
The snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if a snake got out of an enclosure in a zoo, you would not be comfortable
By the
with that
way,
if you were there.
The Grand Prairie Cobra is still at large, so when everybody in the Metroplex who might be listening, or if you got family in the Metroplex, be aware the Grand Prairie Cobra, to my knowledge, has not been found.
Might not be surviving this ice storm.
Presumed dead, but I'm not going to presume anything about a cobra in the wild.
Cam, is there one particular animal or member of the animal kingdom that gives you the woolies more than any other specific one, mainly because of the prospect if you ever had to encounter it? You know, is there one specific one that comes into mind for you? If you had your choice of any member of the animal kingdom that just kind of gives you the woolies and bothers you a little bit, which one would that be?
Gorilla, 100%.
Gorilla?
Gorillas.
Okay.
Cam's with you on the primates.
Primates, which is leading me to the Dallas Zoo. 2 of the zoo's emperor tamarin monkeys have been stolen after they were discovered missing.
Stolen?
Stolen. After they were missing from their enclosure yesterday and their habitat had been intentionally compromised. Emperor tamarin monkeys would likely stay close to home. The zoo searched near their habitat and across zoo grounds, but did not locate them. So they think somebody out and out, as Eddie Murphy would say, somebody went and stole them. You know, they stole them. Dallas Police Department said in its preliminary investigation found the habitat had been intentionally cut open, and it's believed the animals were intentionally taken from the enclosure. The zoo, of course, is closed anyway due to the inclement air. That's what it looks like. That's what Jeff, an emperor tamarin monkey.
If you kind of look at it at first glance with the mustache, with the whiskers there, does it kind of look like a schnauzer a little bit?
A little bit. Yeah. It does have almost I own a schnauzer. It does have kind of a little bit of a schnauzer face. Okay, so first it was on the 13th of the month when the clouded leopard named Nova disappeared. The fence had been intentionally cut, but they found her close to her habitat later in the day. A similar cut had been in the enclosure of some langur monkeys, but none of those monkeys left their habitat. Then they found a vulture named Penn, found dead in its habitat, had an unusual wound and injuries, and now they've got these monkeys missing. What
Get
in
it
the
together,
world?
Dallas.
Yeah, what is going on? Get some security out there.
Y'all ever like going to the zoo, just like standing by the monkey cage for a little bit and just watch them fling poo at each other?
Yeah, that does happen. It does happen.
It's pretty funny.
Meanwhile, they don't have this problem at the Dallas Zoo, but they have another problem in New York. A huge humpback whale is washed ashore.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Happened yesterday. Big old whale.
Dang.
Yeah. Washed
That's
ashore.
a huge whale.
Lido Beach yesterday.
Like Lido, Texas?
No, not Lido, just Lido.
Okay.
Like Boss Skaggs Lido Shuffle, Lido,
okay.
Lido, where there's dancing on the Lido deck if you're on a cruise ship or something. But huge humpback whale washed ashore. They removed the carcass higher in the shoreline to avoid the next high tide, conducting an autopsy to determine cause of death. It's the 18th large whale to strand on the East Coast, going all the way back through last year.
That sounds like an absurdly large number.
It does, doesn't it? So, yeah, that was kind of unnerving.
Y'all remember that Family Guy episode where Peter tried to get the whale back in the water with a forklift, and he just ended up stabbing the whale?
Yeah, that was not good. Okay. Here's something for your cauldron.
Oh, somebody needed to be boiled in oil and have their fat sold for soap. I had to educate Cam last week on what we need to do when it's time to get the cauldron ready.
Tell me if this doesn't fit the category. A California father has been charged with 3 counts of attempted murder after he allegedly drove a car off an oceanside cliff with his wife and 2 children in the car.
Okay, that's got to be like a red flag record for a lead in a crime story. Okay.
Prosecutors have accused Dharmesh Patel of intentionally steering his Tesla off a portion of the PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. If you've ever driven down, how it gets, there along the cliffs and stuff. He drove it off an area called Devil's Slide, sending the family plunging about 250 feet to a rocky beach below. All 4 family members survived the crash.
Dang.
All of them. 2 of the 3 counts against Patel come with domestic violence and great bodily injury enhancements. His wife is still hospitalized after suffering major injuries, and the couple's 7-year-old child was also injured. Miraculously, the 4-year-old came out with just some bruises, and that does not qualify for significant bodily injury, they said, explaining why the enhancements were left off the 3rd charge. Though the victims were not named in the charging documents, the California Highway Patrol previously said the passengers were the driver's wife and 2 children. Now, look at this car.
How
does anybody survive that? And look, I listen, I was one of 5 kids, and we would drive to the beach in the summertime. And if my brother started fighting or picking on me, or if there was something going on, occasionally my dad would give it the standard stock line of the 60s and 70s. And if I have to pull over, if I have to pull this car, my dad actually mastered the art of being able to drive with the left hand and reach with the right and be able to place a hand on one of my brothers to break up a fight.
I'm sure you had to do that a time or two when your kids were younger.
I was like, don't make me have to pull this car over.
Quit pulling your sister's hair.
Okay, so this kind of takes it to the extreme, pulling the car over. If I have to pull this car off a cliff.
We're going to do something special for this gentleman. We're going to skip the cauldron.
Okay.
We're going to make him be a human crash test dummy. That's going to be his...
there you go.
It's going to be his punishment.
Okay. Our final story here goes back to the place where I like to go to find some unusual stories.
We're going down under?
Yes, we are. And this is quite an interesting story.
We go now to our Inconceivable Australian Bureau Chief Craig Way for this update.
Well, they say it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, It's a 6mm silver capsule that was lost somewhere along a vast stretch of desert highway in Queensland in Australia. So what's the big deal? You say somebody lost a little capsule. Yeah, kind of a big deal. It's got caesium-137. It's a highly radioactive substance used in mining equipment. So they said they checked all roads in and out of the Gudari-Dari mine site in remote northern Western Australia, where the device was located before a contractor collected it for the journey south to the state capital, Perth. They believe the capsule fell off the back of a truck.
How'd you like to be the schmuck who was responsible for losing that?
Wow.
Well, what had happened was, yeah.
So there are fears that it may have already been carried farther from the search zone. Somebody may have found, creating a radioactive health risk for anyone that comes across it for potentially the next 300 years.
300 years.
It's got a shelf life. So
sounds lovely.
It's out in the middle of Australia. Fat income, be able to find it, mate, because it's kind of dangerous out there with a radioactive capsule.
Let's get Crocodile Dundee on the case.
Yeah, that's not a knife.
He'd be able to find it.
Now that's a knife. All right, we got hour number 2. Light the tower, Caminette, right here on 1049, 1019, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com.